Alright, 13.3, the final video of the school year. Volume of a sphere. What's what we're going to be talking about. So the objective is students will be able to find the volume of spheres and solve problems involving volumes of spheres. So the formula here for the volume of a sphere, well, we said the surface area is 4 times the area of a circle. And then we said cones and pyramids is 1/3 the area of a cylinder or of a prism. And with the sphere, it's both. It's 4/3. And then we're going to do pi, then the radius. And we said the radius, before we were saying with other shapes, we said like the cylinder, we said radius squared times height. But here, it's radius squared times another radius, which is the same thing as saying radius to the 3rd power. And there you go. Now, so to find the volume of this sphere, we have a radius of 24 inches. We just need to plug that in. Volume equals 4/3 pi 24 cubed. Now on your calculator, there's a few different buttons that you might see. Okay, you might see a button that looks like this, y to the x, and you would press 24 y to the x 3, and that would give you 24 cubed. You may also see a button kind of like this, a little caret or a little arrow pointing up. These two buttons do the same thing pretty much, okay? So you would press 24 to the power of, or caret 3, that means 24 to the power of 3. And this is the same thing, 24 to the power of 3. So that's how you could put something like this in your calculator in case you didn't know. Alright, so when you do plug this in your calculator, what do you get? Go ahead and try and work it out, and I'll put the answer up there in just a second. Okay, well, when I plugged in my calculator, plug all that in, and I got 57,905.8, and this is volume, so it's inches cubed. Alright, the next one. Now they're telling me the circumference is 36. Well, in order to use this fabulous equation that I have to have the radius. So I have to somehow go from circumference to radius. Well, that's not that big a deal because I already know that the circumference equals 2 pi r. And so I can just divide by 2 pi, divide by 2 pi. And now I have what the radius is. The radius is 36 divided by 2 pi. Or if you wanted to reduce it, you could call that 18 over pi. And you can plug that in your calculator and get a number, or you could just leave it as 18 over pi and plug that into your whole formula. So volume equals 4/3 pi, and the radius is 18 over pi with that whole thing cubed. And now you can plug that whole thing in your calculator. So when you plug that whole thing in your calculator, you can go ahead and try it, but I'm about to put the answer up, so you may want to pause right now if you don't want to see the answer. Okay, here it is. It's 787.9 centimeters cubed. And that's it. Okay, we talked about the surface area of a hemisphere, and it got kind of weird because you cut the surface area of a sphere in half, but then you have to add a whole other circle to it because it creates a base area. A base area is created when you cut a sphere in half. Now, with the volume of a hemisphere, though, it is literally just half the volume. So, if your original equation was 4/3 pi r cubed, now you're just going to multiply that by 1/2. Or, if at the very end, if you want to just use this equation at the very end, just divide it by 2, you can do that too. But let's just go ahead and make the new equation for a hemisphere. Well, 1 times 4 is 4. And 2 times 3 on the bottom here is 6. So we have 4/6 pi r cubed for the volume, and I'm going to say of the hemisphere. And 4/6 reduces down to 2/3 pi r cubed. And so that's the formula you're going to use. And they tell you here that the diameter is 4 feet, so that means that your radius is exactly half of that. So your radius is 2 feet. So take that and plug it into there and see what you get. Again, You could have just taken that 2, plugged into this equation, and then the very last step divided by 2. That's the same thing. Either way it works, whichever way you are more comfortable with when it comes to hemispheres. Okay. So if you plugged all those in, here's what you should have got. You may want to pause the video if you haven't done that yet. But your answer should be 16.8 feet cubed. Alright. Last thing, it says discuss and explain which volume is greater, a sphere with a radius of r or a cylinder with a radius of r and a height of 2r. Use algebra and the volume formulas to defend your answer. I'll let you guys try that one on your own. That's it for the 13.3 notes. See you guys next time.